Welcome back. We got the chance to sit down with Brian Rauer, the executive director of the Better Business Bureau serving New York, who shared some tips on how to avoid AI and deepfake scams with celebrity endorsements. Let's take a look. Celebrity endorsements play a crucial role in the shopping and retail industry, influencing fans and the average consumer to make decisions with their wallets. However, with the advancement of AI, consumers may encounter deepfakes, scammers using fake celebrity images to influence purchase decisions. Brian Rauer, executive director of the Better Business Bureau serving New York, provides tips for identifying these deepfakes. Brian, thank you so much for joining me.
Very welcome. Good to be back.
Now, as mentioned, celebrity endorsements, we're seeing a lot of them. They've always been a thing, but with the creation of AI and the advancement of AI, we're seeing this a lot more. Can you just give us a little bit more background about how people are using AI and deepfakes to scam unsuspecting consumers?
Yes, this is actually an emerging area, and it's fast emerging. The technology is off the charts. It's changing seemingly on a weekly, monthly, and certainly on a yearly basis. The conversation we're having now will probably change quite a bit 6 months from now, actually. That's how fast it's moving. And AI has been around for a very, very long time. We're just seeing it at a much higher level now. And deepfakes, for anyone that isn't familiar with this term, they're overtaking the internet in a lot of ways. And it's basically using AI technology to create phony videos and audios, often using celebrities, politicians, people who are well known, in order to commit scams. So people who are very bad at their scamming jobs are becoming very good at their scamming jobs, unfortunately, because it's making them more believable. They can sound more believable, they can look incredibly believable, and the technology keeps improving. I'll give you an example. There was one report where I believe they did a deep fake of celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay, and it was about free cookware. And for
Which makes sense for a lot of people,
I think even Taylor Swift may have been, they had a deep fake of her as well with this. So free cookware, sounds great, celebrity chef involved, people we know really well, and all they wanted you to do was pay shipping and handling. So of course, people believe this. You go to this phony baloney website, and when you get to that site, a couple things are going to happen. A, you'll never see that money again for shipping and handling, which is irrelevant since you're not getting anything shipped to you. And they also have your information, your credit card, whatever, and they're going to commit identity theft with that information. And so these are becoming very common. Also using them for investment schemes. That's become another big deal. There was a big one with a deep fake of Elon Musk recently. It wasn't him, but it looked like there was a live feed on the internet, a lot of people involved, a lot of people checking in and excited, and giveaways and all these things where you felt like you were really part of something on that. And one fellow reported to us that he certainly believed it. It seemed like a great opportunity. And it was one of these situations where you had to act now, because it's always about sense of urgency.
Right.
And this guy lost all of his Bitcoin to this. They use a lot of this to get you to invest, and he invested in nothing.
Well, the really interesting thing about that is that happens, but there are some cases where consumers are getting a product despite misleading information or false promises of a discount. Is there anything that could be done to receive justice after the item has been purchased or delivered? So let's say you think you're getting one thing and you get something completely different.
Right.
They technically did still send you a product that you paid for. So how does someone go about that?
Well, keep in mind, the fact that someone misrepresented something and they gave you a shoddy product, which was not what you thought you were paying for, doesn't get them off the hook. They may think it gets them off the hook, but if you were paying for item A and you get a horrible representation of item B, and it bears no resemblance, it's much lower quality, that's still a scam. They just think they're covering themselves by sending you something. So the bottom line is, yes, it's still a problem. Yes, that's false advertising, and yes, that's not legal to do that. The bottom line is that if it's a true fly-by-night total scam, and they have no real presence anywhere, they could be operating from outside the country, that may be very tough to ever track them down and get justice in terms of a refund. But that said, you have many resources available to you. There's the Consumer Frauds Bureau at the Attorney General's office. Certainly let them know. There's the Federal Trade Commission. They both do a really good job with this. You can contact B.B.B. We don't have their authority. We're non-governmental. But the fact is you can file an official complaint, a formal complaint, and we can try and use dispute resolution. So if it's a company that actually has a presence, they actually have a website, they actually have people who work there, it may be kind of scammy, but they actually operate, there's a chance that we could, reach out to them and have a successful dispute resolution process. If it's a true scam, that's unlikely ever to get you your money back, but there are certainly resources available to you. And if enough people complain about a company that is currently operating and known, and ultimately there is a government action, you ultimately could end up seeing maybe a percentage of your money back. So it doesn't mean you're going to get your money back, but there is a chance. And I certainly wouldn't I wouldn't avoid saying anything. I know people get embarrassed. You want to report it regardless, because the more you report it, the more it helps other people. So go to B.B.B Scam Tracker and let people know your experience and help warn them about this. File the complaints with FTC and the Attorney General so more and more people can check it, and you're helping other people to avoid being scammed. So there's a reason to report it, not just to get your own money back, but to warn others.
Now, what tips does the B.B.B have for spotting deepfakes involving celebrities and false advertisements?
Obviously, celebrities are the big target for that. And the way deepfakes are is they're using video and audio that are posted online. And with celebrities, there's obviously so much of it out there, they have a better chance. The fact is, there are still a lot of the AI technologies that aren't as good as some others. So in many cases, some of these scammers are using kind of a lower level, and things aren't always what they seem. It can have kind of a glossy look to it, an airbrush quality to it. Check out that. It can have unnatural body movements. There can be strange flickers around the face or around the background that don't match up. Sometimes it has trouble with certain body parts. It could be problems with fingers, too many, too few. We've seen that actually, where certain body parts are larger than they normally would be, or smaller in terms of feet, things like that. Asymmetry around the face, you can see that. So there are, and by the way, in terms of the audio, choppy sentences, sounds in the background that really don't match up. You know, things that when they put them together, they just don't sound right. They don't sound
Or
smooth.
like even like the natural tone of speaking sometimes
Right.
is very robotic. Even though it sounds like the celebrity,
Right.
it's still robotic sometimes.
Yeah, if it doesn't sound right, assume that it's not right. There are some really good ones, and the technology continues to improve. But for a lot of these, there are really some telltale signs. Again, look for those flickers around the face. Look for unnatural body movements. Look for that choppy sentence structure. And it just doesn't sound smooth and flowing to see that. A lot of these are signs that it's a problem. But even if it looks smooth, don't assume because it's online it's real. Don't assume the person is real. You want to go separately and check out, independently verify. If you think it's representing a company, go to that company's website directly. Never respond or click directly through to something if you're not sure about it, because that's how they get you. They don't want you doing independent verification. That's how you can protect yourself more.
Now, when supporting smaller businesses, or maybe you're encountering a business that you may not have heard of, but you know they're offering something very unique or something that you're interested in, what are the steps consumers should take to ensure that the business is reputable?
Well, I think in general, again, you can do a lot of background research on them, see what consumers are saying. You can check them out with us and see their complaint record, if they're licensed and they need to be, if we've done an ad review, things like that. And also, if you want to make sure that they're protecting your information, so check out a privacy and security policy. And by the way, if they're posting, they have to follow them. You can't just post a nice policy and not follow it. So find out, how are they protecting your information? Are they sharing it with others? Are they selling it to others, to third parties for advertising purposes? Are they using encryption? How do they protect your credit card information? And then what is their refund policy? These things should all be readily accessible and posted. If you have to click 20 times to find a refund policy, that's a problem. It should be really easy to see. And again, in New York State, you don't automatically have the right to a full refund for everything you buy. But they have to follow the policy they post. So if they say you have a full exchange in 7 days, they have to follow that. You don't have to get your money back, but you got to get an exchange to do that. So make sure all their policies are easy and open and no surprises. Check out any additional costs, no hidden costs, shipping and handling, things like that. If they advertise $9.99, then it says plus $20 shipping and handling. And then it says 3 easy payments of, when you put it all together and you just spent, 4 times that, this is a problem. So it's all about transparency, making sure you know with whom you're dealing, that they're protecting your information, and that there are no surprises. That's the biggest thing.
And talking about information, I know that sometimes you want to order something, people are a little bit cautious with how they even pay. Do you have any tips on like paying with maybe alternative cards, or maybe using a different service, just so that their like a consumer's private information isn't vulnerable if they do decide to take a chance with buying something they're not from a company they're not super familiar with?
Yeah, first of all, that's always a concern, is going to a company you've never heard of and sounds good. I would always say verify that company well beforehand. Again, it could sound great, have wonderful prices. This happened during the pandemic. Certain companies popped up, they had things no one else had. They had face masks that no one else had, better prices that no one else had. Ask yourself why. And people were going straight and giving their money, and these were not reputable companies. But let's say you've gone that route already and you trust the company. The fact is, look to see what payments they require and what payments they prohibit. If they say we only accept wired payments, that's a big red flag. Think about that. You have almost no protection with a wired payment. That's why the scammers use them so much. If they want you to pay with a prepaid card, a prepaid gift card, that's a huge sign of a scam. The fact is, then you're virtually never going to see your money back. You have no protection. So it's almost what they require are the biggest red flags. If they allow you to pay by credit card, that is the highest level of protection. because you can dispute it with the credit card company if there's a fraudulent activity on it. Remember, they're in this case, look, they're not always on your side in terms of everything that happens, but in terms of the loss, they're going to be on your side because, again, you're capped with your liability on how much as long as you report it, obviously, for your credit card loss. And so they want to protect themselves as well as you. So if they see fraudulent activity, they're going to let you know. They're going to work with you on that. And you have a measure of protection. If you think you've been scammed, you can write to them and challenge it, and they'll conduct their own background investigation. And if it comes up in your favor, that charge comes off. So you have that level of protection. Even debit cards don't have the same level of protection. And below that, there are a lot of other methods of payment. I'm not going to name them by name, but the fact is they're really easy and really fast, but you're giving up a lot of your protections. So that's weighing the pros and cons. It's incredibly convenient, but I've lost a lot of protection. That's up to you. Some of these, they can be hackable.
Right.
They're not giving you the highest level. They're not using encryption. You don't have protections if there is ultimately a loss. You really have, in many cases, almost nowhere to go. You want a place where they have a fraud department. They're watching out for you. They're checking on these things. You have a place to challenge it, and you can ultimately, hopefully, get your money back. Going with one that's a faster way of paying for something that gives you almost no protections, you're taking a bigger risk, obviously, for that convenience.
Well, that is such an important part because I know for even myself, I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to put my card here, but I was surprised to learn that credit card is possibly like the safest and the most like just insured way that you're protected if you do make that type of purchase.
Extra layers of protection.
Extra layers of protection, yes. So thank you so much for, kind of explaining that. With that being said, once again, can you just let people know where they can go if they have experienced this? What should their next steps be?
If they feel like they've been subject to identity theft or if they've had a
problem?
problem.
Like if they,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a variety of steps you can take. One of the first things I do, obviously, is whatever card or cards have been compromised, you immediately want to contact the fraud departments or security departments of those banks, credit card companies immediately. And it isn't just one. If you think any other card could even possibly have been impacted, any other account, you want to shut those accounts down immediately. I mean, shut them down immediately. People wait. You wait 24, 48 hours, that could be like waiting a year. Because that's where they're going to do everything they can to shop on your card and your dime is to do that until they know you're going to catch them on it. So you want to shut it down as soon as possible. You want to alert them to what's happened. Right. And once you shut the account, you can shut a bank account down and reopen it the next day generally. People are so nervous about that. Shut the account down. If you have any outstanding checks, some people still write checks, right. Make sure that they're covered so you're not going to bounce any checks. And then apply for a new PIN and a new password and restart again. And then contact the big three credit agencies, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, and let them know you've been the victim of identity theft, the victim of fraud. And what I would do is put a security freeze on it. There's an alert you can put on which gives you a measure of protection, but a much higher level of protection is to put a freeze on it. A freeze locks down your accounts. Basically, people can't open up new accounts under your name. They can't apply for credit under your name. I did it for myself, just so you know. And if, say, you want to buy a car or refinance, unfreeze it, and then you can refreeze it a couple days later when you're done. It's really a simple process to do that, but that's another way of protecting yourself. I'd file a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission. They provide a really, wealth of services in this area there, and you're getting something formally done. And
Right.
Finally, I would also file a complaint with the police department. It's a crime, and it's a serious crime in New York, and that's also going to give you your paper trail and your proof that a crime has been committed against you.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us and having this conversation.
Yes, thank you so much.
If you would like to learn more about all the work the Better Business Bureau does, please go to their website at B.B.B.org.
Thank you to Brian and the team at the Better Business Bureau for coming on the show to help inform our viewers about these scams. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Open after this.